This is CBN NewsWatch.
Thanks for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Mark Martin. With Labor Day behind us, many students across the country are heading back to school. And this year, back to school could be more stressful given the question of going virtual or returning to class. For many students and teachers, it's going to be a struggle. As Heather Sells reports, one reason is known as the COVID slide.
Students in states like Florida and Georgia are physically back in school, while many of their peers across the country are online. Virtual school districts are waiting on state and local health authorities for the green light to reopen, and everyone is trying to figure out just what happened in the last 6 months. Educators call it the COVID slide.
We don't know where that learning loss is going to be.
Dr. Kurt Kressig, Dean of Regent University's School of Education, says educators have never seen a disruption like this.
We can take the data from the previous summer learning losses, or a summer slide we call it, and we also take a look at research from, let's say, Hurricane Katrina that shut down schools for a month. What happened with those children?
What exactly has happened in the pandemic so far, what students have retained and forgotten, is pretty much every educator's guess until baseline testing can take place in person. Experts say they are most worried about K through 3 and 2 subjects, math and reading. Kressig says teaching students how to read online goes against everything educators know.
It's a very intimate process. You have a professional educator usually sitting next to a child, finger on the book, finger on the words as they try to put the words together. The phonics, everything has to come together.
There's also big concerns about kids from low-income families who may not have a laptop or Wi-Fi. This picture of 2 schoolgirls using Wi-Fi at a California Taco Bell struck a nerve, prompting an embarrassed district to offer a hotspot. Other districts have started sending Wi-Fi equipped buses to low-income neighborhoods. Teachers will have a tall order this fall, assessing their kids' progress and providing a range of teaching to fit their needs.
You're going to have kids in a class where some retain more than others. And typically, we've always differentiated in classrooms, but now more so than ever.
There is a silver lining. A large-scale survey of parents and kids found improved well-being early on in the pandemic for students, less stress, and more sleep, independence, and personal responsibility. All those factors could make a big difference this fall as the challenge of wiping out the COVID slide plays out. Heather Sells, CBN News.
The number of coronavirus cases worldwide now standing at more than 27.2 million. A week ago, 13 states were seeing an increase in cases in the U.S. Now it is 30 states. And now turning to California, where at least 25 major wildfires are burning across the state. One of them sparked by an explosion at a gender reveal party. And those fires are scorching hundreds of thousands of acres. Dale Hurd has that story.
Firefighters across California are again battling dozens of wildfires, fueled by record-breaking heat, and several of the fires are still completely out of control. One of the largest fires outside Fresno exploded overnight to 135,000 acres, with 0% containment, after already burning dozens of homes in the town of Big Creek.
Your family's all jumping in the water to get away from the flames?
Yeah, there was really no warning. The fire just moved so fast, so there was only so much we could do.
Monday night, the California National Guard attempted a rescue using a military Chinook helicopter after reports of hikers trapped at a mountain resort. But heavy smoke prevented the pilots from making a safe landing.
Getting rescued right now.
But this rescue over the weekend was successful when a helicopter pulled hundreds of people to safety as flames surrounded them at a campsite.
Some of them were in critical condition with burns or broken bones. To get aircraft to fly at night into the mountains is really something else.
This year, wildfires have burned over 2 million acres in the Golden State. There have been at least 8 deaths and more than 3,300 structures have been destroyed. The weather contributed to fire conditions. Record-breaking triple-digit temperatures hit California over the weekend. Los Angeles County saw 121 degrees. Now they're bracing for high winds.
The heat is extreme. It's not going to be quite as extreme over the next several days, but it's still well above normal. And really, there's not a lot of weather that is going to coming at them to improve things. I don't see any moisture coming out that way.
And fires are raging in other western states. Near Spokane, Washington, authorities say up to 80% of the homes in the town of Malden have been destroyed by a fire sweeping through the area. In Colorado, a wildfire north of Denver is now the largest in state history, burning nearly 100,000 acres. But a wild temperature drop by as much as 70 degrees and a snowstorm could come to the rescue as early winter-like weather arrives in the Rocky Mountain states.
Tell you what, the snowstorm in the Rockies is going to put that fire out north of Denver pretty quickly. They're used to just some crazy stuff out there.
A Colorado state climatologist says she's never seen such a wild temperature swing. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
In a White House press conference Monday, the president pushed back against a report that he ridiculed American soldiers who died in World War I when he canceled a visit to a cemetery in France in 2018.
It's a disgrace. Who would say a thing like that? Only an animal would say a thing like that. There is nobody that has more respect for not only our military, but for people that gave their lives in the military.
Now, former National Security Advisor John Bolton, who's written a scathing book about the president, is defending him against those charges. Bolton was on that trip, and he says the stories claim that the president called the fallen soldiers losers is, quote, simply false. Bolton said the president canceled the trip because of bad weather, not out of contempt for the soldiers, and he did not make disparaging remarks. Another former White House official is also supporting the president. Former Deputy Chief of Staff Zach Fuentes said he was in the room when canceling the trip was discussed with the president, and he never heard those words. And for more political coverage, be sure to tune into Faith Nation this evening for the latest from our nation's capital. A church in Seattle is pushing back against a state law that's forcing churches to cover elective abortions in their health insurance plans. Cedar Park Assembly of God filed a lawsuit against the state, but it was dismissed by a lower court. Now they're asking for an appeal. And joining us now is one of the attorneys representing the church, Kevin Terrio with Alliance Defending Freedom. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. Tell us a little bit about the lawsuit. Where do things stand?
Well, right now we're on appeal before the Ninth Circuit because everybody pretty much agrees that churches should be free to operate according to their faith and not be forced or threatened by the government, especially when it comes to being forced to fund abortions. And the lower court disagreed with us, so we're on appeal to the Ninth Circuit right now.
What has to happen for the court to rule in favor of the church? What are those chances?
Well, actually, the chances are very good. As a matter of fact, the Ninth Circuit, in a case similar to this one out of California, recently ruled for the church. Actually, it was an ADF case, the Skyline case, and said that the church had been damaged when the state of California forced it to cover abortions in its employee benefit plan.
There have been similar cases in other states. If this continues, what are the chances a case like this could end up at the Supreme Court?
I think the chances are very good it could end up at the Supreme Court. And as a matter of fact, this coming term, the Supreme Court's going to consider the Fulton case, which might address the free exercise concerns that a lot of ministries have right now when the government forces it to do things that violates their faith.
If the law stays in place, how will it affect health care at churches across the state? Will they stop offering health care altogether?
Well, it's going to be difficult for them to offer health care, especially churches like Cedar Park that have over 185 employees. They've got a private school, and they have some very specific health care needs. And if they have to offer a policy that includes abortion, it's going to severely hamper their ability to conduct their ministry according to their faith and their convictions.
Churches that see this report, they might be a little overwhelmed about stepping out into a legal battle. What advice do you have for them, for those that might be facing a similar situation and they want to take legal action?
Well, we have churches say that to us frequently because they're being oppressed on all sides. But the good news is Alliance Defending Freedom offers legal services free of charge. It won't cost the church a dime. They really just need to decide whether they're going to take a stand. And and make sure that things like laws like this that force churches to fund abortions just don't go unchallenged.
Okay. Kevin Terrio, an attorney with Alliance Defending Freedom. Thank you, Kevin, for your time today.
Thanks for having me on.
Coming up, how Christians up and down the West Coast are not letting anything stop them from praising Jesus. But before we go to break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Hey, if you're tired and exhausted all day, you can't think clearly, and you really just need a cup or even a pot of coffee to get through your day, then join me, Dr. Josh Axe, for this new series where I'm going to teach you how to transform your diet and use essential oils and supplements to get a better night's sleep.
Wake up to your best life. Call 1-800-700-7000 to get your free DVD or booklet of Protect Your Sleep today.
It's about the competition.
I kind of put that pressure on myself, and I think people had expectations.
It's about overcoming.
We use this phrase all the time, keep chopping, keep practicing hard.
It's about going the distance.
You know, I think as a father, it's my job, to lead. Just be the best husband and father I can be.
Watch Going the Distance with Sean Brown Saturday night at 7:30 on the CBN News Channel.
Orphans Promise is committed to loving and serving at-risk children, to helping keep families together, and to creating opportunities for strong and sustainable communities around the world. We're working in over 60 countries around the world, and with your help, we can do even more. There's an old African proverb I love that says, if you want to run fast, run alone. But if you want to run far, run together. At Orphans Promise, we want to run far so we can touch the lives of as many orphaned and vulnerable children as possible. But we don't want to go alone. We're out to change the world, one child, one family, one community at a time. Will you join us?
Welcome back. Thousands of Christians gathered at the California State Capitol to worship God over the weekend, despite state restrictions on them. And there's a similar story out of Seattle. Missionary worship leader and founder of Hold the Line, Sean Foyt, joins us now to tell us what God did at these events. Sean, first of all, talk about the California State Capitol rally.
It was just so amazing. We gathered on the steps of the Capitol in Sacramento. We had the Capitol Police estimate over 12,000 people showed up. When we started worship, it was 111 degrees out. Wild.
Wow, I'm looking at video of it, an aerial shot. It's just amazing, all of the people there. I mean, what was that experience like to actually be leading this worship service?
Well, it's just amazing, what the Lord started, a month and a half ago on the Golden Gate Bridge, just after the lockdown and after the governor of our state said the church can't sing indoors. God has just been breathing on this. And I just feel like, it reminded me of that Billy Graham quote, where he said that when a courageous man takes a stand, the spines of everyone else are stiffened. And to be able to get 12,000 people to come out without a marketing plan, just total grassroots guerrilla organization, it just shows that people, there's a courageous church rising in California that refuses to be silenced.
Tell us what happened in Seattle, Sean, and how your group worked around attempts to actually stop the worship.
Yeah, I just returned last night from Seattle, and yesterday on 4th Street in Seattle, Antifa terrorists threw Molotov cocktails at the police. And you would think the city would be concerned about that, but instead they wasted their efforts on barricading the Gasworks Park, which is one of their really beautiful parks there in the city. They closed off the entire park with a chain link fence all around the whole thing and locks to prevent us from worshiping in that park. And so when we showed up, we weren't able to get through the barricades they set up. And so we found a construction site right next to the park where there was a bulldozer that was blocking the road. And we thought this will be the perfect backdrop for an epic worship gathering. And so last night we had, we called it a worship protest, which apparently, and now it makes it legal in Seattle. And we had over 2,000 people that showed up. It was so powerful. The Spirit of God moved.
Awesome, awesome. What do you see God doing on the West Coast and hopefully across America through all of this?
You know, I think it's really unique. We've been able to travel across America and host these in different cities, and even in New York and Boston and all over. But something profound is taking place on the West Coast. And, you know, one of the things I felt like the Lord called me to declare in this season is that this is a new Jesus people movement. And I really believe that these strict, godless politicians that are releasing these mandates to silence the church, you know, it's like what happens in persecuted nations. It only makes the church stronger. You know, it's actually provoking the church on the West Coast. You know, we've been all over Washington, Oregon, and California, and people are over it. They are ready to take a stand. And I am seeing the miracles, the signs and wonders, the salvations. Every time we do something on the West Coast, thousands of people show up. And it is a profound move of God.
And I guess the plans are in the works for other worship services?
Yeah, well, we're gonna be going heading to Colorado this weekend, and then we're gonna be actually targeting Kenosha, Wisconsin, Chicago, Minneapolis. We're going into these places where there's been rioting and unrest, invited by pastors to bring worship, to break off that violence and to bring hope. And then the whole thing's going to culminate on October 25th in Washington, D.C. I want everybody to come.
That is awesome. It gives me chills. All right, the founder of Hold the Line, Sean Foyt, thanks so much for your work and your courage and for being used by God. And thanks for joining us today here on NewsWatch.
Thank you so much for having us. Thanks for promoting this. You guys are amazing. Love you all so much.
All right, many blessings to you, sir.
All right.
Still ahead, we're going to hear from a woman who died and came back to life after her amazing visit to heaven. Her story is up next, right after this.
Daddy?
Yeah, buddy?
How many nickels are in $1?
There are 20 nickels in $1.
How do birds fly? Does milk really make my bones stronger?
Yeah.
Daddy, when we die, will we go to heaven?
Do you have the answer to life's biggest question? Call the 700 Club. We'll help you find answers to the important questions life brings your way.
Watch breaking news, in-depth exclusive stories and programs from health to entertainment you won't find anywhere else. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. Enjoy credible news reporting from around the world. Discover inspiring programs and stories of hope, all in one place from a Christian perspective. The CBN News Channel, a perspective you can trust. To watch the CBN News Channel, download the app or visit cbnnewschannel.com.
Hello, I'm Dr. David Perlmutter, board-certified neurologist and #1 New York Times bestselling author. Wouldn't it be great to boost your energy, eliminate brain fog, and even reverse brain disease? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how, along with some of the world's most well-respected brain experts, in this DVD, Protect Your Brain.
Get Protect Your Brain, a free DVD only from the Christian Broadcasting Network, featuring experts on the cutting edge of neuroscience and brain health.
No matter how many times you've failed in the past, you really can do this.
In Protect Your Brain, you'll discover simple strategies to keep your brain young and healthy. Improve your memory. Discover the gut-brain connection. In Protect Your Brain, get your free copy at cbn.com or call 1-800-700-7000.
If you want to improve the quality of your life, get the DVD Protect Your Brain and get it today.
Charlotte Holmes had an experience that changed her life. While in the hospital last September, she died and went to heaven. She describes what she saw as more beautiful than she ever imagined. And she shared her amazing story on CBN's The Prayer Link. Take a look.
Tell us what happened to you.
I had been hooked up. My blood pressure was extremely high. My heart doctor put me in the hospital. Blood pressure was 234 over 134. All of a sudden, they had come in and given me a little sponge bath and was hooking me up to the monitors. My husband told me that I all of a sudden fell over in bed. My eyes were wide open. Within a short time frame, I come above my body. And I looked down and I could see my husband, I could see the doctors, the nurses, I could see them doing chest compressions on me. And for 11 minutes, I didn't breathe. But in a blink of an eye, I smelt the flowers. I heard the singing. I opened my eyes. I knew that I was in heaven. I seen angels.
You knew that you were in heaven. How did you know? Tell us, what did you see? Tell us, tell us more about, the colors and what you smelled.
The first thing was I smelt flowers. Now, I love flowers, but these were like no flowers that is on this earth. The smell. And then I heard music, and I love music, but there is no music like the angels and people praising God. When I opened my eyes, the beauty was undescribable. The colors were vibrant, the trees, the grass, the flowers, the oceans, the everything was wonderful. And the sky even, I've never seen the Northern Lights, but I've seen them on TV. And that's exactly what it was. And then I seen angels. You see, in a short period of time, because it's eternity in heaven, there's no time frame. God let me just visually see so much. And then I turned and I looked, and when I did, I see the golden gates. I seen them. They were gold. I seen the streets of gold. I seen my family.
Charlotte, you mentioned that you saw friends and family who had passed away, years before, including a baby that you had miscarried, years before. And a lot of people are really interested to hear about that. Tell us more about that.
As I looked upon my mother and my dad and my sister, family, and I seen this infant at my mom and dad's feet. Danny and I had a daughter, and then she was about almost 2 years old. Well, I was pregnant again, and I miscarried at 5.5 months. Well, back then, they didn't let you hold your baby. They didn't let you bury your baby. So there was this baby that's this big, and they said, Charlotte, it's a boy. Well, I went through depression. If people don't believe in depression, then I'm glad you don't, because you've never been through it then. But I wanted that baby. So as I looked upon this infant at my mom and dad's feet, I couldn't understand who that was. I knew everybody else, because it says in the Bible, we will be known as we were known. But I couldn't realize who that was. And God just told me, said, that's your child. And I said, but how? How can my child I was 5.5 months be now a toddler? And he explained that they continue to grow in heaven, but there's no time, so it's eternity. So 40 some years later, our child, was a toddler.
Wow, I can't imagine how you felt.
That's amazing.
Well, at one point, Charlotte, you looked back at your husband and family on earth, and they were crying. God gave you the choice to stay or return to earth. Why did you decide to return?
At that moment, when I looked back, I could see them crying. I have a granddaughter that's 20, a grandson that's 22. And I thought, I just want to see them get married. I want to be sure they're equally yoked. I want to be sure that my granddaughter has a husband that will lay his hands on her and pray for her, help her through this life. And the same with my grandson. And maybe I think it's a mother's instinct. And people said, why would you do that? And I said, I really can't answer that. But you see, I think my life had already been ordained from the day I was born, because I almost died the day I was born. And due to the things, that circumstances that went through my life, I think it was already ordained. God knew. He knew when he gave me a choice that I was going to go back. He knew that I couldn't quit talking about it, that I had to share what he showed me.
Powerful testimony there. We'll catch Prayer Link tonight at 6:30 Eastern. It's only on the CBN News Channel. Up next, who are the heroes of the pandemic? One little boy has his answer, how he is giving back to the people he says saved the world.
I am Region's first ROTC graduate student.
Meet the pastors who are preaching the gospel in a fresh, fearless way. I'm Roberto Torres-Cedillo. Join me each week for Next Gen Voices. And watch God transform a generation.
How'd you like to get a redo on your health, on your body, on your arteries, so you could have the energy you had 20 years ago? The great news is you can. I'm Dr. Mike Roizen, chair of the Wellness Institute at the Cleveland Clinic. I've written 4 New York Times bestsellers. But even better than having to read all that, you can listen to this DVD and watch it. Protect your heart? Yes, you can. Here's how.
Go to CBN.com or call 1-800-700-7000 for your free copy of Protect Your Heart. Let the medical experts show you their new discoveries on how to avoid heart disease and even reverse it. Easy steps to uncover the hidden dangers in your medicine cabinet, reduce stress, and get a complete do-over for your health. Call 1-800-700-7000. That's 1-800-700-7000. Or go to CBN.com to claim your free copy of Protect Your Heart.
In Las Vegas, a young child with a big heart is making sure his local heroes are being taken care of during the pandemic. 5-year-old Justin Bouma waits outside on trash days, giving special surprises to the sanitation workers. With the help of his parents, he hands out care packages filled with bottled water, goldfish, M&Ms, and other snacks. Now the city of Las Vegas is backing his efforts with a $1,000 grant. Justin's mom said he thinks sanitation workers save the world, and she just wanted to give back to those who don't always get recognition. He wanted to do that. Wow, that's great. Great to see those pictures there, too. What a neat story. Well, that's going to do it for this edition of CBN News Watch. Remember, you can find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel anytime or online with cbnnews.com. Also, tell us what you think about the stories you've seen, and you can do that by emailing newswatch@cbn.com or talk to us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us next time. Have a great day.